I am Michael, and I have come to speak to you on this day of truth, of protection. I am the guardian of the northern quadrant of the universe. Imagine being connected to trillions of souls. Feel it. Feel it in yourself, because on this ball, there are over 8 billion souls, and you are part of all of that. You are a part of a divine creation. The creation demonstrates itself as a planet, a ball, an earth, and yet all of the souls that are connected here to this planet are part of each other. The churches have portrayed I as a small boy. In actuality, I am a being of about 20 linear feet. And quite frequently, people will see me as a great blue lion with a man's form, but a lion's mane. My color is very much the color of the background that you would see behind this woman. We speak of truth, and logic says truth is what I believe. We speak of truth, and truth is a whole thing. It is not divided. It isn't split down the middle. It isn't subject to logical or controversial perspectives, because the truth of the divine is an energy that operates in a higher frequency than that of the earth and her people. Therefore, divine truth can, I will use the word descend upon you and enlighten you and inform you, transform you, and yes, even ascend you, raise you up into a higher dimensional frequency yourself. But the truth of the divine is forever. The protection of the divine is forever. The logical mind does not understand how divine law operates and never will. For logic wants to figure out how it must possibly work and then operate from that misconception. It makes war. It makes conflict. It makes mental illness. Because what is going on the earth out there, and I will say out there because out in the outer world, the lower vibrational frequency, there is opinion flying like bullets and bombs. There are those who would presume to take it upon themselves to play God, to take the life of another of the divine creation. And their logical mind may say that they are not divine. And I would say, if they are not divine, then none are. For all are divine. They may not be presenting themselves in that way. They may not be utilizing the God-given tools, mind, heart, soul, wisdom, courage, faith, and yes, feeling in the solar plexus a powerful sense of truth that is far beyond the fear-based decisions of logical mind. For so often, when the mind makes the decision, the human being is left wondering, did I make the right choice? I don't know. I am not sure. Where truth, even though it opens the way into a vast unknowable, truth feels in your soul center like warm water. It feels in your soul like enlightenment, illumination. You may literally see with your inner eye that you are illuminated within. And dearly beloved masters, when that illumination grows within you, it can shine through your face. You may glow. In ancient paintings, the beings were created with a ring of light around their head to express the energy of the divine glowing, flowing through them. So as we observe, as we walk among the beings of earth, as we look at their energy and know that things are changing so much now in this time, so much of the chaos upon the earth is from the changes themselves. The outer planets, astrologically, are, yes, moving in their courses as the planets have been set to do, but they are powerful energy generators that speak into the pineal and pituitary gland. They influence the thyroid and the thymus gland. They open the energy of humanity in physical form to connect to the divine through the solar plexus. It isn't just a window to peek through. It is actually a portal that opens to the inner world, the world that exists inside of each human being. The logical mind has done its best over time to disagree with the idea that there is a sacred space in each one. For logic would point to the way humanity lives, and certainly judgment is something that is rife upon the planet in these times. Everyone has their own opinion, and everyone looks to find those that will agree with them. And they shun or ignore or invalidate those who do not agree. But that is the divisiveness of a world that is operating at a vibrational frequency that now is beginning to increase. It's increasing not because some human is making it increase. It is increasing because of divine law. This time has been set in place. This time is not planned for every detail because God, Goddess, all that is, are the unknowable. They are essence that is connected with, involved in the lives of every being, not only on Earth, but on every inhabited planet, every place in this universe. In universes that the logical mind would deny even exist. But as I know the way in this universe, I'm also connected with the angels that are involved in the protection and guardianship of other universes. We are not in ignorance of ourselves, and we are certainly not in conflict with ourselves. The more that you know who you are in a higher understanding, the more you will realize that the illusion of earth that says there is not enough, there is not enough to go around, there is not enough for everyone to live well, is truly an illusion, a concoction of the finite mind. It is cunning, it is a trickster, and yet it was divinely made as everything else is. When you look about you, wherever you're sitting, standing, walking, as you look about you, everything you see is an outcome of divine creativity, because each one of you is a co-creator with the divine, inspired by the divine. The logical mind says, then how do we get to be God? That is beyond the comprehension, the possibility of the finite mind. In these times, the brilliant mind, the logical mind, is creating all manner of advanced technology. A lot of that advanced technology, unfortunately, has been dedicated to war. And I assure you that divine creation did not include war. However, divine creation did give you free will. So every choice that you make, from the tiniest, most insignificant consideration to the greatest, grandest, most convoluted, most worshipped thought, all is inspired by your connection with the divine. The development on this planet, of what is called artificial intelligence. Now, beloved masters, you are co-creators with the divine. You are capable not just from your left brain, but much more from your heart, your soul, and your body brain. For when humanity was first created, the thinking process was in connection with both heart and soul. And you thought in a triune of energy. But along the way, the logical mind believed that it should be deified, and that in order to be deified, it must operate in a higher position. And so, over time, very slowly, unnoticeably, because so much of humanity doesn't pay attention to what's going on. They look outward, but that is like standing and looking at yourself in a mirror, watching what you are doing, what you are creating, but not being involved in the process. So artificial intelligence is a way of convincing humanity that they really do require something or someone else to think for them. The issue of war for thousands of years has been one group of humanity believed that they deserved or that they were capable of getting from others by their wealth, by their intelligence, even by their cruelty. They were capable of obtaining from others so that some had a lot and many were very slowly indoctrinated to believe that there's not enough, that this amazing planet that was designed, and here again, the logical mind has worked it all out. It was only designed to deal with about 600,000 people. And now there's 8 billion on the planet. So obviously, by logic, there's not enough. And yet, in your heart and soul, you carry the wisdom, the tools, the creative ability to image imagination, which logic says, oh, that's a fool's game. And yet, your imagery is part of your ability to bring about what you desire. AI can give you amazing imagery, but does it allow you to let your own inspiration from what it shows you expand beyond what the limitation of artificial intelligence can be? For the one thing that computers do not have, and the one thing that humanity may at some point in time believe they have come up with an imitation. Computers don't have a soul. Computers are not equipped with that connection internally inside of the physical vehicle in the sacred space in the center of the physical form, that soul connection is what leads you to great heights, allows you to create unimaginable beauty, amazing wonder, things that over time simply keep improving. But without that soul connection, everyone's got it, but many have not employed themselves to really open that door. In fact, there have been teachings on the planet that have made people really afraid of opening that portal within themselves, for they have had suggestions from the logical mind that if you connect within yourself, you're just listening to yourself. Or maybe even worse, you're connecting with demonic places. Dearly beloved, amazing, divine, creative masters, you are one with all that is, and you are capable of creating wondrous things in kindness, in compassion, in a clarity that you actually find within yourself the more you connect within. The inner world, we might call it the other world, has existed all along. And yet humanity has been led, instructed, even threatened. Do not believe that there's anything more than what you see, taste, touch, smell, or hear. But masters, there's so much more. And you were divinely created to explore that, to find it within yourself. For divine creation, in the process of free will, also set up divine law that isn't about the judgment of each individual so that there can be a particular leaning to one or another. Divine law is unconditional. It doesn't apply to some and not to others. It is created in love. And even though the logical mind may disagree that some of the balances that karma may bring are loving, now we even find that there are humans that are beginning to want to spread the word that God is a murderer, that God has recommended killing people. And it is, I assure you, beloved masters, an intelligence and a compassion that has kept universes in harmony, in balance over eons of time, is not a murderer. For the divine law says that as you create, so will you receive from your creations. The logical mind wants to see punishment. It wants to recommend the punishment. It wants to be a part of observing that people are suffering for things that they've done. But I can tell you in a energy level that is beyond the comprehension of humanity. The balance is not about punishment, but simply as each individual sows by action, by choice, by thought, by deed, they are energetically replenished. The law of the threefold return. Whatever you sow returns to you magnified. If you would, in this logical time, say that everything has expanded and therefore everything is bigger and worth more, then what you sow is going to return in an amount that may be awe-inspiring, so much good, or unbelievable, so much pain, because what was put out was not put out in an intention of love or the bringing of the best to others, but in an intention for gain. And again, I remind you, your mind, your amazing mind, was created by the divine. So the very logic that would suggest that you do something that isn't particularly divine, the logical mind will say, well, why would you do something like that? And then the logical mind has an explanation. So I will say that in the places where humanity is now moving, where the planets are expanding, creating new pathways, opening the way into something that the finite mind cannot imagine, and the logical mind cannot go. Because as you move into higher frequency, the things of the energy of Earth, as it has been, will be left behind. For many people, they are actually feeling their connection to logic melting away. Suddenly they see, feel, experience inside themselves an understanding, an overview, if you would, of a situation that if you're standing in the middle of it and you cannot see what's going on, you would have a very limited perspective. But as you raise your vibrational frequency to a higher realm, not leaving your physical form, not leaving Earth, not dying, but transforming. Ascension means to rise up over. So as you allow yourself to release the grip on what has been, you began to recognize from the very depths of your being a whole new perspective. You feel it. You actually feel what it feels like to be inside of this vehicle instead of walking around outside of yourself energetically, observing what you're doing, thinking thoughts, making suggestions, but not really inside. The Bible says, in the world, but not of it. The more that you come to yourself within the mental, emotional, and physical connections begin to change, translate into a whole new perspective of what you see, how you hear, how you speak, how you feel. For the emotional reaction of the logical mind begins to transform into a higher consciousness, a perspective that includes all unconditional love in its physical form, humanity. The changes are happening, and all of the weapons in the world will not take away those changes, for they are of a bigger frame than what humanity knows, what any of humanity knows. So again, we reiterate, even though it is spoken that I am a warrior of God and that I carry a sword, which I do, but it's not for the wounding or the destruction. It is very often for liberating beings who have gotten ensnared in their own traps of thought and liberating them so that they can remember who they are. There is a blessing. It has been used by those that have worshipped in higher frames on the earth for time beyond time. The mantra of the white light, the light of God, the creative essence of the divine, the violet flame, which is spiritual alchemy. It is a transmuting fire. It does not burn, but it changes. It changes the leaden pain of what so much of humanity is caught in, worrying about, fearful of, in doubt of themselves. And it transmutes that lead into the golden light of unconditional love, the currency of God, which is not just a coin or a paper or even an electronic transmission, unless you want to consider the electrical energy that is involved in how all of the universes function. And the blue light of my truth. It is magic. Magic with a K. For magic with a C is a hat trick. It's a very well planned, but then it's earth illusion. But the white light, the violet flame, and the blue light of my truth are a protection that has been with people, beings, throughout time. For humanity hasn't always existed. There was a beginning of humanity, and that is when humanity's history goes back. But far beyond that, there were other worlds, there were other beings, there were other universes. But the yogas of India and Tibet have used this prayerful mantra. The white light, envision that it indwells and surrounds you. The violet flame, again, that it indwells and surrounds you. And the blue light of my truth, that it imbues your soul center and surrounds you. Back in the 1930s, there were scientists that actually went to India and observed a man standing in front of a tree, surrounding himself with the white light, the violet flame, and the blue light of my truth. And a man stood approximately 400 yards away with an elephant gun. It fired, and the bullet came rocketing toward the man standing in front of the tree, and about 3 feet out from his physical form, the bullet collapsed. It hit an unseen protection. So, dearly beloved masters, the mind, when it is aligned with spirit, is a creative, shall we say, tool that can bring about things that amaze and astound, but also that uplift, that glorify, not one, but all. For when one of you is praised, glorified, acknowledged as great, all are. And this is what has been forgotten, and this is where the soul is moving now in this time. This dense physical carbon-based vehicle will begin to enlighten. Its structure will begin to change, transform. The energy will emerge in a much more crystalline form. So we could go to the story about the ascension of the Master Jesus in a physical form that was nailed to a cross. And yet, 3 days later, the physical form was no longer there. It had disappeared. And in a period of time, not too long later, the Master Jesus appeared to a number of people in a body of light. What he came to teach was not about salvation, that someone else must do that for you. It wasn't about the glorification of war. It was about remembering deep within yourself the love that created you, feeling that connection to the divine within, recognizably in yourself. Not a voice that speaks of destruction and war, but a feeling, a personal, individual, unique feeling, a call to feel the blessings that belong to you. Unconditional love is not a judge. It does not sit on a throne with a massive book of flaw, though the logical mind has certainly assured humanity throughout time of how flawed you are, how incapable, how inappropriate, and how God is sitting with a book of tally, putting marks against your name so that you may or may not enter heaven. And I tell you, dearly beloved masters, within you, the soul connection that the divine gave each being is your connection to what the logical mind has termed heaven. Things that are beyond this place, things that cannot be seen by the human eye, more often than not simply because the human mind has not been allowed to believe that some of the things that would be seen could possibly exist. There have been allusions to the fact that what has been called heaven is available, but over time, the logical mind has changed the text. It has rewritten the words of wisdom in as many different old records that would tell you in language that the logical mind doesn't understand of the truth of the Spirit. So, dearly beloved masters, utilizing the violet flame when you rise up in the morning to begin your day, don't just say the words. Anyone can, but feel them. The white light of the divine indwells me. And feel it in your soul, in your heart. You may even feel changes in your logical mind. The violet flame, the transmuting fire, that as you call it within you, you may actually feel lighter. You may feel as though your aches and pains are diminishing. Some may actually allow a healing. Others may not believe that can happen for them because they don't believe they're good enough. Dearly beloved, amazing, divine, creative masters, you were made in love without a condition, by love without a condition, and you dwell whether you believe it or not, in the essence of that love. You've closed your eyes. You have turned away. But when you return to center, that which you might have been told was gone is waiting. Feel it. White light, violet flame, and a sense of truth that is undivided, that sees beyond the separation, that feels whole, that loves all. Beginning, dearly beloved masters, with yourself. These times are calling humanity to come home to themselves, to love themselves, to change, to change, to allow the changes because you cannot implement them by yourself, on your own, but with that connection within you. You can feel the light, the love, the wonder that can lift you above this coil and allow you to see with new eyes and move forward into the unknowable. For the soul is forever. You've lived so many lives, but this time is moving on to the next, if you wish, adventure of divine creation. And so, masters, I speak with truth. We of the archangels, of all that would be involved in assisting humanity now, cannot lie to you, because we know within ourselves, if we were to lie, that the return on that, if you would call it transgression, would be terribly painful. Not because God would wound you, but because divine law would balance the things that have become unbalanced, and you would change no matter how hard you fight it. So, dearly beloved masters, you can change using your free will to make the choice to find the best, or you can refuse. You can stay the same. You will change, but the outcome may be far less comfortable than you have believed you could make it be. This is no threat. The world is full of threats. This is a promise that you are so loved. If you will accept it, the changes you make will be amazing. And so I have spoken on this day, and I leave you in love. Love and laughter and light and joy, and we walk among you to help you find it within yourselves. And so I bless you with the greatest of blessings. I bid you adieu.